I think the escape of Daniel Khalife cannot possibly have been a whimsical decision on the spur of the moment. I think it's something that has to be planned. To strap yourself underneath a lorry requires straps to start with. It requires some sort of premeditation and observation that security is lax. And where security is lax, a prison is going to fail. A prison is built on security. And I think there's a prison crisis as much in the UK at the moment now as there was in the 18th and 19th centuries, which brought the prison reformers, the actual prison reformers, and people like Elizabeth Fry. I mean, and of course Charles Dickens and his depiction of the Marshalsea, particularly, which his father was sent to in 1824, when Dickens was just 12 years old, and so his experience of going in and out of the Marshalsea was very much the experience of Amy Dorrit, Little Dorrit, in the novel Little Dorrit, and it's his novels, his humanity, in things like Great Expectations as well, mixed with the determination to go into jails, to go into prisons, the determination of people like Elizabeth Fry to read to prisoners in Newgate jail, in Newgate prison, and I think it's so sad that her image is no longer on the £5 note. It was replaced in 2016 with a picture of Winston Churchill. Well, Winston Churchill doesn't command diverting and interesting conversations. Who is this person? Everybody knows who Winston Churchill is. We don't need that sort of prompt. But Elizabeth Fry was always an interesting conversation. And to have her image on the most used part of our currency, I think that was a very good pointer to the importance of trying to get prison right. If we're going to have prisons, we need to get them right. And what are they for? They're not to lock people away so that they're out of sight and out of mind. We spend too much money on each prisoner to do that. You know, it costs more to be a prisoner in our country than it costs to put somebody through an expensive private school. So if we're going to do it, then we might as well try and get a decent product out at the end. We need to be thinking about prison reform. Wandsworth was, during the 1990s particularly, a really high-achieving prison with very far-reaching, forward-thinking at its core. At its core, it was the prison where Pimlico Opera would perform. And there was a prison production of West Side Story, something that's promoting rehabilitation. And today it has sunk into racism and oppression, declining standards. Wandsworth has been a failing jail for years. It's dilapidated and foul, it's squalid, bleak and understaffed. And this was the place where Rolf Harris was sent, Gary Glitter, and right back in the past, Oscar Wilde. It is, just simply in terms of its building and its cells, it's horrible. And yet, in the 1990s, it was a place which was promoting opera, musicals, which was promoting dialogue and reform. And that has been lost in such a short space of time through the austerity programs that our government has been promoting. But not just the Conservative failure. This is a failure which has gone on through the 21st century. So we can't just blame the Conservative government for this, but I don't think the Conservative government can get off lightly. The Conservative government tries to put itself forward as the party of justice, as the party that is tough on crime, but under its watch we see a dangerous terrorist escaping from Wandsworth, and the poor standard of security is exposed. Because when Daniel Khalife escaped, it was an hour before the prison authorities were alerted. An hour. That's the shocking detail, isn't it? That is the shocking detail.